Hey everyone, Sigam here. In today's video, we will see how to build and play our warrior pikeman in Season 3, following Mansa Musa's recent addition into the game. Mansa Musa offers great defensive abilities like Barbarossa did, but he also offers good offensive buffs to his team. While these heroes are not the greatest in rallies, they perform and shine the most when being swarmed by your enemies, while still providing decent results in 1v1 situations. Mansa Musa is a must-have this season if you played Warrior Pikeman before Season 3, and will greatly help scare off Lubu players in the open field. Let's see how to get the best out of them through hero combination, ring pairings, skills, gems and synergies. Let's dive in and start cooking. Because of their counterattacks mechanic, Warrior Pikemen are a bit different than other heroes and lineups. They will perform differently whether they are in 1v1 situations or whether they are being swarmed, so I've decided to try and divide the usual chapters between 1v1 and swarming situations for both free-to-plays and spenders, so you can adjust based on your playstyle or preferences. Our first composition here is Boudica, Mansa Musa and Richard, a very good free-to-play 1v1 composition that also does well when being swarmed. Out of comparison, this was the third best overall results I had when trying out tens of different setups in swarming situations, and not by a huge margin too. This makes this free-to-play setup a good all-rounder one and a pretty affordable one too, since you can play all of these 3 heroes at 3 stars. Richard as a secondary hero doesn't really benefit from his 5th rank, and only Mansa Musa is really overwhelmingly stronger at 5 stars. We'll see a setup with him in the latest chapters. It also works really well for spenders if you're missing Leonidas. As a reminder, Richard is a Season 1 Legendary Advent hero, Boudica is a Season 2 Legendary Advent hero, and finally Mansa Musa, the newest Season 3 hero, is also unlockable through the Legendary Advent wheel. This army offers a decent solution to deter Lubu armies from running all over the place, harassing your friend's archers in the process. It will perform nicely in open field, but avoid joining rallies with it, as the counterattack mechanic is better suited for field play. This army's performance in swarming situations is driven by the signature skills of Richard and Mansa Musa, as well as Mansa Musa's customizable skill Golden Odyssey. Unlike percentage-based counterattack skills that rely on a chance to retaliate, these abilities are triggered after absorbing a specific number of normal attacks. As a result, the more enemies that target you, the more frequently these skills are activated, quickly reaching their activation limit. Talking about signature skills, let's have a look at our heroes to remind ourselves what they actually do. Boudica's commander skill is fairly straightforward. It deals damage to up to 3 enemies while also healing your troops. As a commander, she offers quick skill activation, delivering solid damage and decent healing, making her stand out in 1v1 situations compared to others. Unlike Richard, she doesn't need to be 5-star to perform well in this role, and honestly, even when both are fully starred, I've found that Boudica or even Mansa Musa tend to deliver better and more consistent results than Richard. Her signature skill is really good. Every time she's hit by a normal attack, she has a base 20% chance to counterattack, dealing decent damage to her enemies. She'll also increase the might of the hero with the highest might while doing so. Her ranks are okay, with the 3rd being the most interesting one. At rank 1, she will increase her signature skill's damage by 25%, and at rank 3, she will increase its trigger chance by 5%. Her rank 5 is less interesting since it will buff her signature skill's might buff by a mere 30. Mansa Musa, our new hero, is pretty interesting. Once every 12 normal attacks tanked with a maximum of 2 per second counted, his signature skill Devout Radiance will deal big chunks of damage to your opponents. It will also reduce your troop damage taken by 12% for 3 seconds. Assuming your army receives 2 normal attacks per second, this skill will trigger every 6 seconds. Each activation deals damage and grants a 12% damage reduction for 3 seconds, resulting in a consistent 50% effect uptime. This becomes insanely good when Mansa hits 5 stars. Let's have a look. His 1st rank will increase Devout Radiance damage by 50%, and his 3rd rank will add an additional troop recovery line to it, allowing for decent healing every 6 seconds. His 5th rank is simply amazing, as it will increase the damage reduction effect by 6%, which is 50% of the base bonus, and will extend the duration by 3 seconds. This makes Mansa Musa exceptionally effective in swarming scenarios, as he can trigger his signature skill every 6 seconds and maintain a 6-second damage reduction buff, resulting in a continuous 100% uptime. Finally, Richard's signature skill causes your troop to gain 1 stack of mark each time it's hit by a normal attack, with a maximum of 2 stacks per second. Upon reaching 20 stacks, the skill activates, dealing damage to the enemy and resetting the stacks to 0. It also passively increases Richard's might by a flat amount for every 1% of units lost, creating a berserker effect of some sort where the lineup becomes increasingly dangerous as it takes damage. Richard's first rank will increase his signature skill's damage by 50%, and his third rank will reduce the number of stacks needed to trigger his skill activation, from 20 to 16 stacks. His 5th rank is good if you play Richard as a commander, since it will increase his commander skill's damage by 220% and the slowdown effect by 10%. In our case, this is not really important to get. For mercenaries, I would definitely pick Roman Centurions for any warrior pike lineup, and this will not change until the end of this guide. Their offensive passive provides a constant 2% skill damage bonus, while their defensive passive grants 3.5% damage reduction every time you deal skill damage. Since counterattacks count as skills and are triggered at least once per second in combat, this means the defensive buff is effectively permanent when using warrior pikemen with Centurions, offering excellent sustain and synergy. Let's have a look at our customizable skills. For Boudica, we'll take Whirlwind Sweep and Forceful Retaliation for the Precious Might bonus. We'll take Golden Odyssey on Mensa Musa, his amazing new customizable skill which basically triggers alongside a signature skill, providing a significant damage boost to your commander every 6 seconds when swarmed. In addition, we'll use Fearless Retribution. Finally, we'll take 2 counterattack skills on Richard, Fearless Retribution and Forceful Retaliation, to increase our DPS output. This setup synergizes well with our rings and gems, making full use of Richard's passive triggers. I would advise ranking up Boudica's Forceful Retaliation first, as well as Mensa Musa's Golden Odyssey. I tested several Kingsblade variations on both Boudica and Mensa Musa. The results were underwhelming on Mensa Musa, as Fearless Retribution scales with passive damage boosts from rings and gems, while Kingsblade does not, making it less effective in this setup. The damage boost Kingsblade provides to the team did not make up for that. On Boudica, Whirlwind Sweep performed similarly to Kingsblade, but proved slightly better overall, as it offered more consistent and reliable results. When it comes to rings, Messenger of Destruction is amazing here, and will empower every single passive ability you have in this particular formation, with the exception of Whirlwind Sweep. Ring of Boar is also a strong fit in this lineup, particularly thanks to Mensa Musa's presence, which significantly improves your team's resilience. As a result, you'll spend more time below the 60% HP threshold without being eliminated quickly, allowing you to take full advantage of the rig's bonus to passive damage. This makes Ring of Boar a very solid choice in sustained swarming situations, where its effects can remain active for extended periods. It is a bit less strong in 1v1 though, as you won't fall below the 60% HP this often or this quickly. As a third and final ring, you can use Lofty Mountain to provide your team with might resistance for the first 18 seconds of combat, followed by a damage boost after that. This ring synergizes well with Ring of Boar and Mensa Musa's damage reduction, since by the time you hit the 18-second mark, you'll likely be approaching the 60% HP threshold, enabling both damage buffs to activate simultaneously. Alternatively, you can choose Tranquil Water, Ring of Badger, or even Ring of Clover if you're on a tighter budget. Despite its low cost, Clover still performs really well. You can also opt to replace Ring of Boar with any of these 4 tank-oriented rings to enhance survivability. Basically, the logic behind Warrior Pikemen is simple. The more enemies that hit you and the longer you survive, the more counterattacks you can trigger. These heroes rely on being attacked to deal damage effectively, so incorporating some form of damage reduction is essential to maximizing their potential. Now, while this setup with Boudica's commander is solid in 1v1 situations, especially for free-to plays, and works well in swarm scenarios, it's not the strongest swarm configuration I've tested. We'll explore a more optimized swarming setup in a later chapter, but before that, let's have a look at a 1v1 spender setup. Our lineup this time is Boudica, Leonidas and Mensa Musa. Leonidas is a paywalled hero and is only obtainable through bundles. If you don't have him yet, I'd recommend sticking with the lineup presented earlier. That said, this formation is an amazing Warrior Pikemen 1v1 lineup for spenders who are specifically looking for this kind of approach. However, if you're more interested in handling swarm situations, which is often the case when running Warrior Pikemen, then the next chapter will be more suited for your needs. In this setup, you're essentially replacing Richard, who relies on being attacked by multiple enemies to consistently hit his activation limit, with Leonidas, who performs effectively even in isolated 1v1 situations. Also, Richard passively boosts his own might as his troop loses HP. While that may sound beneficial, it can interfere with Boudica's signature skill, eventually causing him to benefit from the might buff she provides, which isn't ideal in our 1v1 setup. Boudica typically outperforms him in terms of DPS, so you want her to receive the buff instead. In contrast, Leonidas' signature skill is more suitable for this scenario. It does not rely on stacking mechanics or reset conditions like Richard's, making it a more consistent and efficient option in sustained single-target engagements. Unyielding Soul provides good DPS to your team and increases the damage you deal when you fall below 50% HP. His ranks focus on empowering his signature skill, with his first rank increasing its damage rate by 15% and his third rank increasing its trigger chance by 4%. His fifth rank is especially impactful as the damage buff now activates below 75% HP instead of 50%, and the bonus damage is further increased by an additional 10%. For customizable skills, we take Kingsblade on Leonidas, which proved to be quite useful on him, as well as Fearless Retribution for additional passive damage. We equip the same customizable skills as before for Mensa Musa and Boudica since they perform well. When it comes to rings, if you're focusing on 1v1 scenarios, you don't necessarily need Ring of Boar. Instead, you can prioritize rings that reduce damage during the first seconds of combat, such as Tranquil Water or Ring of Badger. Just like the previous setup, Ring of Clover remains a reliable, budget-friendly option that performs well. We continue to use Messenger of Destruction as it's an excellent DPS ring for counterattack-based heroes. For a more aggressive approach, you can also consider Scorching Flame, which will boost everyone's might upon commander skill activation, or Ring of Deer, which will buff the damage of one of your heroes and apply a damage debuff to a random enemy. It is always valuable in this lineup since all three deal significant damage. Overall, this ring performed particularly well in this configuration. Let's now have a look at our final lineup that focuses on swarming situations this time. Our final setup is nothing new and resembles the first one introduced in this guide, with the only exception that Mensa Musa is now commander. This swarming setup is better than the previous one shown in this guide, especially if your Mensa is rank 5. It works for both free-to-plays and spenders. This lineup performed very well in swarming situations and showed a damage output that was evenly distributed across all three heroes, which makes Ring of Deer an excellent choice here, since its random damage buff will always land on a valuable target. As explained earlier, both Richard and Mensa Musa gain the most value when targeted by multiple enemies, as their core mechanics are designed to hit their activation limit under swarm conditions, so it is logical to have them in this lineup. While Mensa Musa's commander skill may appear weaker in terms of raw damage compared to others like Richard's, it offers far greater utility. Unlike Richard's, its damage does not rely on stack accumulation and its first activation is quicker. Upon triggering, it reduces the target's armor by 70 based on might, which can easily scale to around 180 armor reduction for 6 seconds. That's a massive debuff. During that 6-second window, enemies take significantly more damage from all of your hero's counterattacks due to the lowered armor, more than compensating for the lower base damage of the skill itself. This makes Mensa a valuable commander, and it works especially well if you're the type of players to attack rallies with one army. Beware though, only do that if your army is very strong, but I know some of you out there like that kind of gameplay. Regarding customizable skills, we equip the same ones as before and shown throughout this guide. We will also use the same ring setup with Lofty Mountain on Mensa Musa, Ring of Boar on Boudica, and Messenger of Destruction on Richard. If you don't have enough tokens to afford Lofty Mountain, for instance, you can go with Ring of Clover, Ring of Badger, or Ring of Deer instead. That's pretty much it for this season Warrior Pac-Man, so let's have a final note for gems and talent trees. For Richard, Boudica, and Leonidas, use gems that will increase might, passive skills damage, and health. For Mensa Musa, we will use gems that increase all attributes to also buff Golden Odyssey, passive skill damage, and health. Before ending this video, here are the talent trees I run for the heroes mentioned in this video. Enjoy your Warrior Pac-Man and harass Lubu players on the open field. Beware of Ramsey's lineups on the map, they will be a major threat to you and are to be avoided. Other than that, you should do pretty well, especially considering that cavalry is still going very strong in Season 3. If you enjoyed this guide, feel free to leave a like and join my Discord server where we share advice and often talk about the game. The link's in the description. Bye everyone and see you soon.
Pikemen strong, through seasons they stand, now richer than ever, with gold in hand. Mansa Musa's here, wealth and fame, Season 3's golden spear, remember the name.
From Mali's sands I march with pride, my golden spears pierce far and wide. Barbarossa tried, but I raised the bar. Golden shields gleam bright, outshining by far. Golden Odyssey buffs divine, damage climbs, enemies decline. Fifth star glowing armor shines bright, enemies swarm, just fuels our might.
Spears of gold, raise them high, Mansa's might will never die. Swarmed or single, stand our ground, warrior pikemen, victory bound.
Commander Swift, whirlwind unleashed, heals and damage, foes deceased. Mansa's riches strengthen our force, enemies scatter, no remorse. Counter-attack, ready, strike them back, might boosted strong, no room for slack. Musa's gold, our power increased, cavalry defeated, their charge ceased.
Spears of gold, raise them high, Mansa's might will never die. Swarm or single, stand our ground, warrior pikemen, victory bound.
For spenders, Spartans join the fray, King's blade sharpen, foes decay. One-on-one combat ranks supreme, with Mansa Musa, a golden team. Roman centurions guard our flank, skill damage soaring, foes we thank. Messenger of destruction boost our power, lofty mountain shields every hour. I crossed deserts, richest king crowned, golden armor, legends renowned. Now pikemen flourish under my reign, with wealth and skill, our victory sustained.
Spears of